Right, welcome to A Sense of You, the show where we chat to a special guest and we get to know a little bit about them through the esoteric experiences of the five senses: sight, smell, touch, sound, and taste. I ask them to describe their three favourite experiences around each of those senses, and we probe a little bit about why they're so special to them. And then we ask you at home to pick which experience in each category is their number one choice. What would make their A list? Guess all five correctly, and you're in with a chance of winning a unique and personal prize linked to our guest. Talking of which, let me introduce my first guest. He's an actor. He is been in Deep Space Nine. You'll know him best for Dr. Bashir in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but also one of my favourite films, Syriana, was excellent in that. Game of Thrones, he was Prince of Dawn, Peaky Blinders, and many, many others. So please let's give a big welcome to
All right, that's
Alexander
enough.
Siddig.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
It's very strange.
We haven't got all day.
Now, I want to know. So the first thing I want to ask you before anything else. So your build as Alexander Siddig.
Yeah.
Do people call you Alex or Siddig? Because I know your full name is Siddig El Fadil. Or what should I call you?
Hey, you can call me anything you like. I mean, really, I'm one of those people who just doesn't care.
Okay. All right, fair enough then.
What I'm called. But all my friends call me Sid. I've been called Sid most of my life, at least in Britain.
Right.
But I respond to Alex or Hey.
Yeah.
You name it.
I get that. Okay, that's very good. Thank you. So Sid, I will call you from now on.
Call me that.
And ahead of time, you've already sent me your lovely choices in each of the five senses. I'm going to pick...
difficult to do, difficult to narrow down to three choices. It's wow. And some of them is difficult to remember. It's amazing to go, well, I haven't thought about that for years. I haven't actually thought what my favorite smell is for a long time. So really good challenge.
Good. I'm glad. We like to make it a bit of a challenge and a bit of sort of a trip down memory lane for people, which I think is a really good idea. So I'm going to pick the categories at random, and I'm also going to tell you what each one is that you've given me, so you can give me a little bit of talk about each one.
Sure.
That way we don't give away which is your favourite in each category. So that's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to start with... I'm going to start with the one that is most associated with memory, which is actually smell. And the first one that you sent me, which I thought was very interesting, was wet dogs and gun oil. So why that one? Why that?
That is a definite memory from way back in the past. We used to go to Scotland every year, my mum and I think secretly she had a boyfriend called Peter. Although she never told me it was a boyfriend, it was just Uncle Peter. And so we went to visit Uncle Peter, and Uncle Peter had this small shooting lodge up in a place called Strathconnell near Inverness, and it was where I learned how to fire an air rifle for the first time. So I was pretty young, and he had bows and arrows, real ones, so I got to learn how to use those. And he had crossbows, and he collected military regalia. And he had this amazing cottage, and he had these dogs, Weimaraners. I can't remember both their names now, but one was called Center Sue. And so guns and those dogs coming in from a long trek, going to see beautiful things up in the Highlands there. Whether it was an eagle's nest with little golden eagles just hatching, which we saw by climbing up this cliff and looking over the top and looking down into the nest and seeing these little eggs hatching, which is amazing. And then the mum coming back and going, "What the hell are you doing here?" Wow. And
how old were you? How old were you?
We went every year from probably when I was about 5 to probably when I was about 8. No. 9. So maybe 6 to 10. Kind of really formative part of my life. I remember not having all my teeth at one point in one of the photos. So it must be pretty young. And coming in with these dogs who have been running through the long grass and all his shotguns and stuff in his cabinets, and it was just amazing. And that smell was always in the house. It just always smelled of wet dogs and gun oil to me. And it's still a smell I remember right to this day.
That is a great one. That is a really good start. I feel we're off to a good start. So I'm going to move you on to chamomile herb tea.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think that is most astonishing on this planet is the smell of really all herb teas. Herb teas smell amazing from 100 yards away. I mean, they're the most amazing smelling things in the world. In fact, they're inversely proportional to how disappointing they are when you actually taste it. And I remember as a kid, my mum giving me stuff, and even as an adult, here's some herb tea, this will make you go to sleep, and this will soothe you, or whatever it is that this particular herb tea for that particular remedy. It just smelled amazing. And then I tasted it. It was like, Mum, can we put some sugar in this? Because this has no flavor at all. So in a weird way, that is one of the finest smells, but one of the great disappointments in taste.
That is brilliant. I'm totally with you on that. Anything that looks like a bag of flowers to me is not tea. It's that simple. It's that simple. Brilliant. That's a really good one. Yes. I mean, I like that. I like the setup with the disappointment, added disappointment.
Yeah, that's a double. That's one of the worst things and one of the best things in one.
That's brilliant. Right. Okay. So your final choice, which is one weirdly I can also relate to, is a childhood blanket. The smell of a childhood blanket.
Oh yeah. I am 55 years old and I still remember the smell of my childhood blanket. And if you presented it to me today, not that it exists anymore, I would be like instantly comforted, instantly relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like most kids, had this blanket all the time. And I was, up until the age of 4 or something. And so it became, and it was that kind of nuttiness, that's kind of distinct nutty smell that was a kind of umami that smelled of. And kids that age don't sweat, and so it wasn't unpleasant. We didn't run around and bring in terrible smells from outside or anything like that. So it was all very like cozy, sweet smells. And I just remember that kind of faintly nutty smell that instantly made me feel mellow, whatever was going on. So my mum would take it everywhere we went, just in case.
Oh, brilliant.
That's really
cool. That's really cool of your mum, because a lot of parents would be taking them away and saying, don't have that. Don't like that dirty thing.
It came to an end organically, that there was a time when it just didn't work. I think it did start with my mother washing a blanket, which was a kind of massive disappointment. That thing was, you couldn't wash that thing. But once she did wash it and I got used to it again, and then she washed it again. And also the older you get, the more smelly you get, frankly. Let's be honest. So when you're a baby, you honestly, no one can accuse you of smelling of anything. But when you're even a bit older, you start to smell a bit of whiff. So that blanket became less pleasant, I should imagine.
That's so true. That is so true. I mean, speak for yourself on the smelling part, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one.
Fair enough. Okay, I had terrible BO as an infant. What can I say? Stupid.
No, you should. No, especially in lockdown. I mean, it's just going a bit crazy at the moment. But well, thank you for that. Those are your first 3 in the sense of smell. So we have, in no particular order, we have the childhood blanket, we have chamomile and herb tea, and wet dogs and gun oil. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to ask people at home to vote in, write in, phone in, text in, message in, with which one of those 3 do you think is Sid's number 1 favourite smell? So we'll make a note of that and we will come back to that in a minute.